The business usual is always value for money. All the time we are trying to get value for money. What we don't look for is value for many. While we are generating value for money, do we care about those 4 billion people whose income levels are less than $2 a day, the so-called bottom of the pyramid? What is the challenge in getting value for money as well as value for many? It is described here in terms of the performance and the price. If you have money, of course, you can get the value. You can get Mercedes for very high price, very high performance. But if you don't have money, what happens? Well, you have to ride a bicycle, carrying your own weight, and also some other weight, so that you can earn the bread for the day. Well, poor do not remain poor, they become lower middle class, and if they do so, then of course the conditions improve. And they start riding on scooters, but the challenge is, again, they don't get much value because they can't afford anything more than the scooter. The issue is, at that price, can you give them some extra value, a super value in terms of their ability to ride in a car, to get that dignity, to get that safety? Looks practically impossible, isn't it? Now, this is something that we see on Indian streets all the time, but many people see the same thing and think things differently, and one of them is here, Ratan Tata. The great thing about leaders is that should they not only have passion in their belly, which practically all of them have, they're also very innovative. Innovator is one who does not know it cannot be done. They believe that things can be done. But great leaders like Ratan have compassion. And what you said, Lakshmi, is absolutely true. It's not just Ratan Tata, it is the house of Tatas over a period of time. Let me confirm what she said. Yes, I went barefoot until I was 12. I struggled 2 meals a day, was a huge issue. And when I finished my SSC, the 11th standard, I had stood 11th among 135,000 students, but I was about to leave the school because my poor mother couldn't afford schooling. And it was Sir Dorab Tata Trust, which gave me 60 rupees per month, almost $1 per month for 6 years. That is how I'm standing before you. So that is the house of Tata. Innovation, compassion, and passion. They combine all that. And it was that compassion which bothered Ratan, because when he saw, in fact, he told me about 8 or 9 years ago, how he was driving his own car. He drives his own car, by the way. And he saw in the rains a family like the one that I showed to you getting drenched with an infant. And then he said, well, I must give them a car that they can afford, 1 lakh car, $2,000 car. Of course, as soon as you say something like this, people say it is impossible. And that's what was said by Suzuki. He said, oh, probably he's going to build a 3-wheeler with stepney. And you can see the cartoon here. Well, he didn't build that. He built a proper car, Nano. And mind you, I'm 6 feet half an inch. Ratan is taller than me. And we have ample space in the front and ample space in the back in this particular car. An incredible car. And of course, nothing succeeds like success. The cynics then turned around, and one after the other, they started saying, yes, we also want to make a car in the nano segment. We'll manufacture a car in the nano segment. How did this great story unfold, the making of nano? Let me tell you a bit about it. For example, how it started, Ratan, was to just began with a 5-engineer team, young people in their mid-20s. And he said, well, I don't define a vehicle for you, but I will define the cost for you. It is 1,100,000 rupees, and you have to make it within that. And he told them, question the unquestionable. Stretch the envelope. And at a point in time, he got so engrossed in the whole challenge that he himself became a member of the team. Can you believe it? I still am told about the story of that single wiper design in which he participated until midnight. He'll be thinking early morning, he'll be sort of coming back with solutions. But who are the team leader? The team leader was Girish Wagh, a 35-year-old boy in Pune, and the Nano team average age was just 27 years. And they did innovation in design and beyond. Broke many norms of the standard conventions. For the first time, for example, that a two-cylinder gas engine was used in a car with a single balancer shaft. Adhesives were replacing the rivets. There was a co-creation, huge co-creation with vendors and suppliers. Our ideas on board were welcome. 100 vendors were co-located adjacent to the plant, and innovative business models for automobile dealership were developed. Who would imagine that a fellow who sells cloth, for example, will be selling nano? I mean, it was an incredible innovation. Seeking solutions for non-auto sector, it was an open innovation. Ideas from all over were welcome. Mechanism of helicopter seats and windows was used, by the way, as well as dashboard that were inspired by two-wheelers. The fuel lines and lamps were as in two-wheelers. And the crux of the matter was, however, getting more from less. All the time, you have been given an envelope, you can't cross that envelope, which is 100,000 rupees, $2,000. And therefore, each component had to have a dual functionality. And the seat riser, for example, serving as a mounting for the seat, as well as structural part of the functional rigidity. Half the number of parts are contained in nano in comparison to a typical passenger car. The length is smaller by 8%, by the way, but the current entry-level cars, in comparison to that, it is 8% less, but 21% more inside space. And what happened was that more from less, you can see how much more for how much less. When the Model T was launched, and these are, by the way, all the figures that are adjusted to 2007 dollar prices. Model T was 19,700 by Ford, Volkswagen was 11,333, and British Motor was around 11,000, and Nano was bang on $2,000. This is why you started actually a new paradigm shift, where the same people who could not dream of sitting in a car, who were carrying their entire family in a scooter, started dreaming of being in a car, and those dreams are getting fulfilled. This is a photograph of a house and a driver and a car near my own home. The driver's name is Narayan. He has bought his own Nano. And you can see there has been a physical space that has been created for him, parking that car along with the owner's car. But more importantly, they have created a space in their mind that, yes, my chauffeur is going to come in his own car and park it. And that's why I call it a transformational innovation. It is not just technological, it is social innovation that we talk about. And that is where, ladies and gentlemen, this famous theme of getting more from less for more becomes important. I remember talking about this for the first time in Australia about 1.5 years ago when their academy honored me with a fellowship. And unbelievably, in 40 years, I was the first Indian to be honored. And the title of my talk was, therefore, Indian Innovation from Gandhi to Gandhian Engineering. And I titled this More from Less for More and more people as Gandhian Engineering. And that Gandhian Engineering, in my judgment, is the one which is going to take the world forward, is going to make a difference, not just for a few, but for everyone. Let me move from mobility in a car to individual mobility for those unfortunate who have lost their legs. Here is an American citizen and his son having artificial foot. What is its price? $20,000. And of course, these feet are so designed that they can walk only on such perfect pavements or roads. Unfortunately, that's not the case in India. You can see him walk barefoot on an uneven land, sometimes in a marshy land, and so on and so forth. More importantly, they not only walk far to work, and not only they cycle to work, but they cycle for work, as you can see here, and they climb up for their work. You have to design artificial foot for such conditions. The challenge, of course, 4 billion people, their incomes are less than $2 a day. And if you talk about a $20,000 shoe, you are talking about 10,000 days of income. You just don't have it. And therefore, you have to look at alternatives. And that is how Jaipur Foot was created in India. It had revolutionary prosthetic fitment and delivery system, the quick molding and model components, enabling custom-made on-the-spot limb fitments. You could fit it actually in an hour, by the way, whereas the equivalent other feet took something like day and so on. Out of socket made by using heated high-density polyethylene pipes rather than using heated sheets, and unique high-ankle design, human-like looks, flexions, and functions. And I like to show how it looks and how it works.
So they can freely work with this on the field, and we don't need to change their profession.
See, he jumps. You can see what stress it must have.
But has it below me? About me, yes.
1 kilometer in 4 minutes 30 seconds. So that's what it is all about. And therefore, time took the notice of this $28 food, basically. You know? An incredible story. Let's move on to something else. I've been talking about getting more from less for more. Let's move to health. We talked about mobility and the rest of it. Let's talk about health. What's happening in the area of health? You know, you have new diseases, you require new drugs. And if you look at the drug development 10 years ago and now, what has happened? 10 years ago, it used to cost about $250 million. Today, it costs $1.5 billion. Time taken for moving a molecule to marketplace after all the human and animal testing was 10 years. Now it is 15 years. Are you getting more drugs because you are spending more time and more money? No, I'm sorry. We used to have 40, now they have come down to 30. So actually, we are getting less from more for less and less people. Why less and less people? Because it is so expensive, so very few will be able to basically afford that. Let us just take an example. The psoriasis is a very dreadful disease of the skin. The cost of treatment, $20,000. $1,000 antibody injections under the skin, by the way, and 20 of them. Time for development, it took around 10 years and $700 million. Let's start in the spirit of more from less for more and more, and start putting some targets. For example, we don't want $20,000, we don't have it. Can we do it $100? Time for development, not 10 years. We are in a hurry, 5 years. Cost of development, few $100 million. Sorry, I can't spend more than $10 million. Looks absolutely audacious. Looks absolutely ridiculous. Do you know something? This has been achieved in India. These targets have been achieved in India. And how they have been achieved? Sir Francis Bacon had once said, when you wish to achieve results that have not been achieved before, it's an unwise fancy to think that they can be achieved by using methods that have been used before. And therefore, the standard process where you develop a molecule, put it into mice, into men, were not yielding those results. Billions of dollars were being spent. The Indian cleverness was using its traditional knowledge, however, scientifically validating it and making that journey from men to mice to men, not molecule to mice to men. You know? And that is how this difference has come. And you can see this blending of traditional medicine, modern science. I launched a big program when I was the Director General of CSIR about 9 years ago. Is giving results not just for psoriasis, for cancer, and a whole range of things, changing the whole paradigm. And you can see this Indian psoriasis breakthrough obtained by this reverse pharmacology. By doing things differently, you can see before treatment and after treatment. This is really getting more from less for more and more people, because these are all affordable treatments now. Let me just remind you of what Mahatma Gandhi had said. He had said, Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. So the message he was giving us was you must get more from less and less and less, so that you can share it for more and more people, not only the current generation, but the future generations. And he had also said, I would prize every invention of science made for the benefit for all. So he was giving you the message that you must have it for more and more people, not just a few people. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, this is the theme, getting more from less for more. And mind you, it is not getting just a little more for just a little less. It's not about low cost. It's about ultra low cost. You cannot say HIV/AIDS treatment, oh, $10,000, but because you are poor, I'll give it for $9,000. Sorry, it doesn't work. You have to give it for $100, $200. Is it possible? It has been made possible, by the way, for certain other different reasons. So you are not talking about low cost, you are talking about ultra low cost. You're not talking about affordability, you are talking about extreme affordability, because 4 billion people whose income levels are less than $2 a day, all right? You're not talking about exclusive innovation, you're talking about inclusive innovation. And therefore, you're not talking about incremental innovation, you're talking about disruptive innovation. The ideas have to be such that you think in completely different terms. And I would also add, it is not only getting more from less for more, by more and more people, the whole world working for it. I was very touched when I saw a breakthrough on the other day. You know, incubators for infants, for example, they're not available in Africa, they're not available in Indian villages, and infants die. Incubator costs $2,000. And there's a $25 incubator giving that performance that has been created. And by whom? By young students from Stanford University on an extreme affordability project that they had, basically. Their heart is in the right place, like Ratan Tata. It's not just innovation, compassion and passion. Compassion in the heart and passion in the belly. That's the new word that we want to create, and that is why the message is that of Gandhian engineering. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to end before time. I was also afraid of those 18 minutes. I have still 1.5 minutes to go. The message, the final message is this. India gave a great gift to the world. What was that? 20th century, we gave Gandhi to the world. The 21st century gift, which is very, very important for the whole world, whether it is global economic meltdown, whether it is climate change, whether it is any problem that you talk about, is getting more from less for more and more, not only the current generations, for the future generations. And that can come only from Gandhian engineering. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to announce this gift of the 21st century to the world from India, Gandhian engineering. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mashelkar.
Thank you very much.
A quick question for you. You know, when you were a young boy, you know, in this school, what were your thoughts like? What did you think you could become? What was the thing that drove you? Was there a vision you had? What is it that drove you?
I'll tell you a story that drove me, that transformed my life. I remember I went to a poor school because my mother could not gather the 21 rupees, that $50 that was required within the stipulated time. It was called Union High School. But it was a poor school with rich teachers, honestly. And one of them was Principal Bhave, who taught us physics. One day, he took us out into the sun and tried to show us how to find the focal length of a convex lens. The lens was here, the piece of paper was there, he moved it up and down, and there was a bright spot up there. And then he said, this is the focal length. But they didn't held it for a little while, Lakshmi. And then the paper burnt. When the paper burned, for some reason he turned to me and he said, Mashelkar, like this, if you do not diffuse your energies, if you focus your energies, you can achieve anything in the world. All right? That gave me a great message. Focus and you can achieve. I said, oh, science is so wonderful, I have to become a scientist. But more importantly, focus and you can achieve. And that message, very frankly, is valid for society today. What does that focal length do? It has parallel lines which are sun rays. And the property of parallel lines is that they never meet. All right? What does that convex lens do? It makes them meet. This is convex lens leadership. You know what is today's leadership doing? Concave length. They divide them further. All right? Yeah. So I learned that lesson of convex lens leadership from that. And when I was at National Chemical Laboratory, I built Team NCL. When I was Council of Scientific Industrial Research, 40 laboratories, when 2 laboratories were not talking to each other, I built Team CSR. And currently I'm president of Global Research Alliance, 60,000 scientists from 9 countries, right from India to US. I'm trying to build a global team which will look at the global grand challenges that the world is facing. That was the lesson. That was the inspirational moment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.